12:07 p.m., September 25th, 2023. And I'm really concerned about the state of our country. We're in a 5-alarm fire. Our national security isn't protecting we the people, and it's been going on for quite a while. As Dr. Stephen Greer just disclosed, 33 years worth of whistleblowing testimony from high-level security clearance officials from the military, from the government, from the weapons contractors and manufacturers, and they're actually whistleblowing on treasonous activities that are going on in our country. And this military-industrial complex is acting outside of the rule of law, and they've committed mass murder. Whistleblowers are coming out and talking about all the advanced UAPs they have. They go hundreds of thousands of miles per hour. Our military, they could run circles around our military. They dance around our Navy ships. You've been hearing them in the news. So when they decide someday to bring down the population, which is the ultimate plan, and there is documentation about it, military documentation about the plan, that eventually they will pretend like, oh my God, the extraterrestrials are attacking us, when really it'll be like Sriva Space Force Base and these weapons manufacturers. Do you know that Bill Deagle whistleblowed on Sriva Space Force Base? He worked there in all areas. He has a photographic memory. He's a doctor, a brilliant man. They have the most brilliant scientists, researchers, physicists, everything. Now you work for us. And they have had colonies on Mars. They may still have one there. They have colonies on the moon, mining. They say and brag about owning every little bit of airspace up to Mars. So what does that tell you? Look back. When was Sriva Space Force Base developed? What happened in 9/11? You have some people that say that 9/11, those buildings were brought down by a space laser because of the cookie cutter types of indentations on the tops. You can see very unnatural. And what happened to all the steel posts and everything that just melted away and turned into dust? Regular fires do not heat to that extent. These are microwave fires. And I remember the day the planes were coming in on 9/11. And you would think, now the military owns the airspace above a certain amount of feet, right? Not the cities, not the states, it's the military. Where were they? I saw those planes coming in for 15 to 20 minutes. Where was our protection? Where was our national security? They weren't defending us. This was an intentional act so that the military-industrial complex, which includes Halliburton and Dick Cheney, and most likely Bush Sr., wanted to go to war in Iraq for the sand and oil. It was never about Osama bin Laden. Now, eventually they got him, but you remember right after 9/11 how his planes and his family members just took off? No one else could go in the airspace, but the Bush syndicate allowed them to fly off. They were friends with all of them. We need to do an extensive investigation on what happened into 9/11. Why weren't there, even some of the reporters were saying, where's all the debris on the ground? There wasn't that much debris. It imploded on itself. I thought it was suspicious when I saw it. And aside from that, so you have Sriva says all these advanced UAPs, all these advanced computers that our Congress and president aren't read into and they don't know about. That is treasonous and criminal. They are a shadow government with its own military, its own Navy, its own Air Force, and they do what they want to people around the world. They see no boundaries. We have let our country fall apart right now, and people need to really start zeroing in on what's happening in this planet. You see all these UAPs dancing around our military ships. They go hundreds of thousands of miles per hour. Well, our military can't compete with that. They're keeping that from our military. Not only that, the crimes against humanity are happening because they have advanced energy systems that would actually stop the global warming. We wouldn't be burning down the rainforest, chopping them down, and using coal, oil, and nuclear power because they have the energy, but they have classified it for national security, but for their own greedy interests, not for us. And this all needs to be disclosed. This has been going on since the 1950s when it got away in Eisenhower, the general, in his time when he said, beware the military-industrial complex. Well, now we're seeing full force of what they're capable of. Now it's coming out, this corrupt entity, torturing people, killing people, setting up governments in other countries, doing basically what they want with no checks and balances. Now, with all their advanced weaponry, like Raytheon at the South Pole, they have the largest scalar weapon in the world, ELF wave, scalar weapons, because they're using it to track, to send radio waves with an embedded scalar wave out into space. So when extraterrestrials do their quantum entanglement, poof, they're in our space, folding space and time. It creates a light flash, like neutrino, light detectors, something like that. But when they sense that coming in with their advanced weaponry, they shoot it down. So these criminal groups are endangering our whole planet with these weapons technologies. Other life forms and other planets are getting tired of what we're doing. They've been very patient with us. But if we want a future for this gorgeous planet and this earth and nature, we need to demand full disclosure. We need those energy systems so that we can stop killing the planet with all these unnecessary forms of energy. And these people can get jobs in other areas. We'll still have the car industry. They'll just use a new form of energy, which Tesla already had years ago. He already knew how to pull it out of space and time in a car, which he developed with a scalar technology. But JP Morgan said, if you can't put a meter on it, we don't want it. So from way back when, we could have had clean skies, not have all this acid in our air. So it's all together. You have unnatural fires happening everywhere. Shiva Space Force Base brags about owning every inch of space from here up to Mars. They have satellites, space stations, drones, weapons up there so that they can shoot down any extraterrestrials, kill us from up there. And they have these advanced weapons that can go for miles and miles. With quantum entanglement, you can have a spaceship here and there in a second or two. That means you can have nuclear-powered missiles in China to us in a minute. You can have scalar weapons, communication from here to there, from 6 feet to 75,000 miles. It doesn't matter, because that's called the spooky effect. That's what the military-industrial complex has been researching these last years and not letting Congress and the president in on this. But all the whistleblowers have come forward. They're talking about it. And this research needs to come out now. Because now, from their space stations and satellites and drones, they can attack us down here. This scalar weaponry that they have can go through almost anything. We do not have the capacity down here to protect ourselves from it. It can go through 20 buildings to get to you. It can go through lead. It can go through steel. It can go through, I believe, iron. It can go through aluminum. It can go through glass, brick, cement. It doesn't matter if you're under a tunnel 200 feet. And now, people have already been attacked by the West Wing of the White House with directed energy weapons. They already have gotten brain damage, balance issues, eyesight issues. And you have these L-rods that the police have used to attack protesters. So when our food supply dwindles down, and right now you've got a crisis with the water going on in one of the states, can you just see what's going to happen? All these protesters like, oh my God, we don't have water. And then you have them coming down with all these weapons to attack people. These directed energy weapons, Havana syndrome. Everybody has their own frequency and vibe. And it knows your frequency and connects with your frequency. And it can be directed at you, the vibrations and the frequencies, so that other people around you won't hear it, but you will feel it. Now, targeted justice has bored members from all, it's getting larger and larger from around the world. People are being attacked by directed energy weapons from this military industrial complex, killing and injuring innocent civilians and taking over our planet with their own agenda. It's evil. Now, for anybody that believes in God, if you truly believe in God out there, then you know God gave us free will. And to use directed energy weapons, neural weapons, to attack people's minds, to hijack their intellectual property is a crime. God gave us free will. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So this is a very demonic force that has infiltrated the military-industrial complex to create wars for money, for greed, everything that's... They experiment on children. One of the whistleblowers saw them, this UAP with these... They looked white, they looked American, but they didn't have any logos of military on the uniform, but they were very weaponized, like deep, dark special ops groups of guys, and they were very violent and what do you call that? Just like experienced, and they were taking crates of human beings from Indonesia and putting them on this UAP. This is one of the whistleblowers now. A group of them that saw this, and his life was threatened because of it. They experiment with these innocent people. When children are disappearing around the world, they're experimenting on them to their death with directed energy weapons. And what they're trying to do, what they're working on now so hard, is to get into people's minds with their directed energy weapons, read their thoughts, and some TIs have said that they will think things, and then there'll be a message on their computer about what they thought about. So, it really scares me. I don't even want to go there. I don't want anybody infringing on my personal space, my intellectual property, and I don't think anybody else would want that either. But it's going on around the world, and it's demonic, and it needs to stop.